Gvardiol, Phil Foden and Rico Lewis. I guess the headline really is Erling Haaland hasn't returned. Looking through the squad, neither Jeremy Doku. Alongside me, former City captain Andy Morrison. Andy, you've had a few moments to digest the City lineup. What strikes you first of all about it?
Well, Rico comes in for Kovacic, obviously from Luton last week. And listen, we know what the pattern will be. We know it's just whether Rico starts in midfield or whether Kyle Walker plays one inside. Who knows whether Kyle goes really high and Bernardo drops into make a box four. We don't know, but we know we'll dominate the ball.
How does Julian Alvarez lead the line differently to Haaland?
I think he's very similar. Do you know, I think he runs in behind, he wants to get down the sides, he's instinctive in the box. Obviously, Haaland, the numbers speak for themselves, and that's down to the fact he's played. Every time Alvarez has played, he has an impact and he scores goals.
When you look at City's lineup today, who do you see joining Rodri in that central area controlling things?
You think it was Rico, that's a natural position. He's so good at it. He's almost a wall. They just bounce balls off him and release players. He's very clever. He doesn't look to go in behind. We never see him sort of hit 30, 40-yard diagonal balls. He just keeps the ball rotating, and he's excellent at it.
Now, you were at Luton last week. Indeed, there was quite a few boys of 99 who went down because it was the first time that we played there in such a long time. What were your main observations about City's performance last Sunday?
I thought it was a very courageous performance because the way things had been with a few draws and questions being asked, 1-0 down on 47 minutes coming out in the second half, massive questions being asked of the team and the character. I thought they were immense second half. I thought they were good first half. We just had a great chance early on in the game which we didn't take, and they could be pivotal moments, and then, like I say, the goal before half-time, character was brilliant. It was a huge performance, and I thought Luton were very, very good. I didn't see that at the start of the season. I didn't think they would be so formidable. I didn't think they would be so strong at home. They pressed us all over. It's a slight slope, and they started really well and made it very difficult, and I thought they had to take great credit, but we got the result, which sets us up for these next two home games.
And in terms of your day out in Luton, I guess your mood was improved enormously by that result.
It was fantastic. We had a great trip down. We were spoilt by the club on the day, made to feel very special, and it was magical. And then the return journey, obviously, with a victory. We're football people. The football and the result defines everything. And the journey back was good, and we tried to have a little sing-song, but we're not very good at singing.
Well, you'll be delighted to know when Angie joins me for commentary later, he will not be singing, just commentary. Back to you, Chris.
Oh, well, what a shame. I think we wanted to hear Andy having a bit of a sing-song, don't we, in the commentary? Ollie was dancing before we came on air. We might see that later on, Ollie. Firstly, Keith, let's get your reaction to the team. I suppose if there's going to be no Erling Haaland, still not quite ready to play, no Jeremy Doku, still feels like a really strong Man City team.
Yeah, you take Erland out of it, who's the focal point of the team, but then you have to find a different way to attack, and I think the movement and rotation, I don't think, even with Alvarez playing up there, at times he will drop deeper, and you might find Foden being a focal point, Silva being a focal point, and when I say a focal point, not being somebody to play off like Erland does, but somebody just being the pivot up there to occupy defenders. So I think the rotation of the players all over the forward final third of the pitch will be interesting to see.
Yeah, it certainly will. One change, as the guys were telling us, Kit, from the win over Luton. I think we can see the goals from that game coming from behind. Manchester City needing to get it done in the second half. Rico Lewis coming in for Mateo Kovacic, who's dropping out. So we assume that we'll see Rico in the midfield. We can see the goals here from the second half. Such a lovely finish from Bernardo Silva, which started that fight back. And Bernardo will play a really key role as well going forward.
It was. I mean, he always does. He's Pep's chosen one sort of thing. I think we're all fully aware of that. An absolutely fantastic, magical little player, and just so intelligent with his movement and his quality. I mean, you see from that finish there, absolutely brilliant.
So, I mean, Ollie, more further up the park, but you two would have been defenders in your time. When you get players like Bernardo who can play in the pocket, they can drop deep and control the game from a more defensive position, but then they can drift out wide as well. How difficult is that to defend against?
He's one of those players that he's got excellent ball mastery. He can control the ball and he knows where he's going with it. He's one of those players that, back in my day, you would get physical with. You'd have to get close. Back then, you could give him 2 or 3 kicks before the referee would even speak to you.
Yeah, not anymore.
Nowadays, he's a difficult person a difficult player, but he's got great skill.
Yeah, and Jack Grealish has been performing really well. I think he had a bit of a difficult time at the start of the season with Jeremy Doku coming in basically in the same position. We can see at the end of this move, it's Jack that pops up and gets the goal, the winner against Luton. Perfect positioning for him, neat finish as well. Good opportunity with Jeremy not available for the team. I
think so, certainly, because obviously, Doku's done tremendously well. So I think he's surprised a lot of people about how well he has started his City career. He's been exceptional. But competition for places is what you want with a squad like City's. You want that competition, and I think that spurred Jack on a little bit now. And like I say, he'll get a run of games now with Doku being out, and it's down for him to take it. And certainly so far, he's done really well.
Yeah, not only that, Ollie, we're a week out from Christmas, and Jack Grealish hasn't played the same amount of minutes that he would have played in previous seasons, which just means he's fresh coming into this intensely busy time of the year.
He's fresh and he's hungry, and for me, he's just a wonderful person on and off the field. You watch him, how he is with people, his empathy that he has for everybody. I'm delighted that he's come to a club this size, and he bedded in, didn't he? Pep's brought him in and got him going, and I think there's even more to come from him. But Doku's a totally different type. What Jack is, keeps the ball for you. He lends it and gets it back, and keeps it ticking, whereas Doku, 1-on-1, 2-on-1, he'll take them on and do different things. So Pep's got a fantastic choice. What do I need? What do I do? So, and he'll be putting his arm around Jack saying, come on, raise to the challenge, and because he will need everyone to win on the level that Pep needs to win on, and to keep winning. They've caused themselves a problem, because it's not easy. Do you know what I mean? You're already won the treble. How are we going to do this? But it's all about the drive that they've got, and I can't wait to see today, to be honest. Jack is a wonderful, beautiful footballer.
Yeah, they certainly have it. So Rico Lewis is coming in, we think, in that defensive role alongside Rodri today. We'll always have to wait and see, because you never know what Pep is going to do. A couple of stats that the production team have flagged up is that in the Champions League this season, more minutes than anybody else for Manchester City. Rico Lewis, this is a teenager. More assists, more chances created than anyone else in the team. What a player City have on their hands.
Yeah, excellent, and I think he's at the right football club with the right manager that will keep his hunger, keep his feet on the ground, but also educate about how to be a professional footballer at a top football club. And I think that's vitally important for a lot of young players now, because I think there's been an emergence now of a lot of younger players coming through, and it's not just about playing, it's about how you are as an individual, how you grow and how you develop as a person within your footballing industry.
Yeah, not just Rico Lewis, Phil Foden already in the team, fully established. Micah Hamilton scoring in midweek in the Champions League, and Oscar Bob as well. Bob is on the bench today, no place for Micah Hamilton, but he has an incredible future ahead of him, we would have to imagine. What's your favourite of Rico Lewis's positions, Kit? If you were putting him in the team, he could play right back, left back, defensive midfield. He's quite good going forward too.
I like him in that, alongside Rodri, in that defensive midfield role. I said, but also he'll start off in there, but then what he does, he'll take spaces further up the pitch and allow one of the centre backs to come in. Probably Aki, I would imagine, to come in and play as a holder alongside Rodri more. But he'll start there, but where City are so fluid with their movement and their rotations that he'll be getting forward into decent positions as well, and be able to create and getting some goal scoring opportunities as well.
So you're going to enjoy today, because we think he's going to be in that position today. Now, don't forget, you guys can get in touch with us on the WhatsApp as well, which you can see coming up on your screen there. The number in, text the questions in to the guys. You might want to get a slightly different perspective, ask a Palace question of Ollie as well, and we'll read out the best of the questions, put them to the team, and get you guys involved with the show. But I know you're absolutely itching, aren't you? We've been focusing on the Man City team. Ollie, you've been wanting to know who's in the Palace team. I think we can head down to pitch
You haven't showed me up to now, not that it's biased. By the way, you are playing Palace.
There is a reason why we're here in the studio, Ollie. Thanks for
there is a game.
Thanks for wearing the jumper. It's all going to charity. Let's
He
get
used
down
to play
pitch
for him as well.
Ali, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. The Crystal Palace lineup today. Dean Henderson in goal. Joe Ward, he's the captain. Tyrick Mitchell, Mark Guehi, Michael Olise, Jean-Philippe Mateta, Jeffrey Schlupp, Joachim Andersen, Nathaniel Klein, Chris Richards and Jairo Riedewald. I mean, for me, looking at that, Andy Morrison alongside me, I think the big absentee is their striker Edouard. That's got to be a big miss for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is. And also Ayew, who I've been really impressed with, and he always plays well against us. So you look at it in two ways. It's an opportunity for other players to come in and show what they can do. Eze, I think, is an exceptional player, very talented and very, very dangerous. So, yes, and I think they're a damaged animal because I thought they were hard done by last week against Liverpool. So it's how they react to that.
What impressed you most about them in that game against Liverpool?
Well, they were exceptional in the first half. I mean, up until the sending off, they looked more than capable of not just staying in the game and getting a result. I thought they could go on and maybe get the second goal. And, it was incredibly harsh. And I thought they were very humble. The manager was obviously vociferous and angry afterwards, which he was right to be. But I thought the players dealt with it really well. And it's just how you react to that now. Does it suck the energy out of you or does it galvanise you? We'll find out today.
There's a sort of feeling that Palace have always caused problems for us here at the Etihad Stadium. Why?
They have great athletes. They're able to cover the ground. They get around the pitch. They will go into a 4-5-1 block. I think that one will probably be almost a 4-6 at times out of possession, which makes it very, very hard to break down. And as I say, they got some great legs and energy in the team through the midfield, both full-backs, and they're very, very organised. And, Roy Hodgson's team will always be hard to break down because the detail will be there. And, they always give a great account of themselves.
You mentioned Roy Hodgson, 76 years old. You've managed. You know what it's like. You know the pressures.
I'm still managing now.
You're still managing now. What exactly is it that keeps him going at 76 at the top level of the game?
I think it's a love. I think you love football, and that never goes. While that passion's still there. But I think the most important thing is a genuine love for football that makes him want to keep being involved in it. And while he's getting ash, he was probably say he was happy in retirement until Palace came along and said we're in a spot of bother. We look like we're going to be going into that sort of end of season relegation battle. Who would you want better to come along and steer them away from it? And he did an incredible job. And his enthusiasm and. Once you lose that enthusiasm, and we saw it last week after he could barely get his words out. He was that angry, and he doesn't very often feel that way. And it's great to see that as well. Still at that age, I'd be in Barbados now. I wouldn't be pitchside at the Etihad.
Just before I let you go, what's your gut feeling telling you about today's result?
Well, it's always difficult because, like I say, they're very organised. But if we score early and it goes our way, I think we'll concede. We seem to have a habit of letting one in at the moment. But 3-1 has always been my safe result to go for.
Well, that's a nice prediction. I'll tell you an interesting stat. Erling Haaland has missed 5 games so far through injury since he joined us. Every single one City have won. What does that tell you? It tells you that they can win without the big man. Of course, they can win with him too. Let's hope he's back soon. Enjoy the game.
Who needs Erling Haaland? Clearly. Ali, thank you. Andy, they're on the Manchester City app for full commentary from 3 o'clock. We'll be throwing live to them, then we'll be back with you at half-time as well. A couple of things to pick out from the team news. And Ollie, I'll start with you because you really wanted to see the substitutes as well as the starting team. Edouard gets their goals. Nowhere to be seen today. That's a big loss.
Yeah. It's a massive loss, yeah. He's a real focal point for them. Fantastic player. Links everybody else in. I'm surprised that Izzy Abire's not playing because he's fantastic talent. But basically, Roy's knows what he's up against here. He's got a very defensive lineup there, and he wants to try and stick in the game for a while and make sure that they haven't got gaps between his two lines to make sure. And hopefully, he'll bring on some of the attacking players who he's got on the bench. But he knows what he's doing. And it's a very tough place to come, and he's done well here before. So
I have to feel for Dean Henderson today. It's his first Premier League start. He's had a lot of injuries. He played in the Cup against Manchester United and went off injured in that game, Kit. So this is his first game coming to the Etihad against Manchester City. You've had a difficult spell, but one against Luton and perhaps emerging from that. Big responsibility on the goalkeeper's shoulders.
Yeah, it is, but it's a great opportunity for him, you know. So I think he'll be, you know, as a professional footballer, this is a tough place to come. But you've got to, you know, relish the opportunity and sort of roll your sleeves up and have a right good go. So I'm sure he'll be focused and looking forward to it. But as Ollie was saying, it's how Palace set up. They'll be very well organised under Roy and Ray Lou. Certainly they'll be you know very well drilled, and the game plan will be to stay in it. To get to half time and go from there. So an early City goal, obviously, and that all goes out the window. So, as we all know, best laid plans, but they'll certainly be organised and well drilled, without a doubt.
Yeah, they will have an outlet, I would imagine, on the right-hand side. Michael Elise is starting. He's had his injury problems, scored an amazing goal against Luton 3 or 4 weeks ago, Keith. Is he the sort of player that might break into the international scene, might even go higher up than Crystal Palace?
Yeah, he's got ability, very quick, very direct, and can go past the man. And again, within the setup now, it's going to be, like I say, the lads have just said then, they're going to be organised, they're going to be disciplined, and they're going to try and play and have to play counter-attacking football because they're not going to be in possession of the football for large majorities. But within that, so if your game plan is to, I think you can be organised and disciplined and be behind the ball, but it's a case of where do you start your defending. If you want to start very deep, it can cause you a lot of problems. And then you say about your line of retention, if you keep a high line against City and you get runners off, the movement is going to cause them a lot of problems. And that Roy's made a career and had a fantastic career about his organisation and his discipline of his team, and today's going to be a good test for him.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll be hungry, Kit, because they had a bit of misfortune last week against Liverpool. They were leading that game, they had a penalty awarded and then taken away by VAR, man sent off, bit soft, and then lost the game, and Roy was crestfallen at full time.
Yeah, he was, but just because of the sending off, obviously he'll be a big miss for them. Edouard missing as well, who's I think he's contributed to 40% of their goals this season, so he's going to be a huge loss for them as well, and Jefferson Lerma. So they're all out. They'll be a big miss. So, but they'll, like I say, they'll drop off. They'll sit deep, or fairly deep, as Curly said. If they're too deep, you can invite too much trouble onto you. But they'll get their pressing line sorted out. And City, we've seen they can concede on the break, so they'll concede possession for sure. They won't be worried about that, Palace, and then look to try and counter. But listen, City are so good with the ball, you know, I would expect them to find a way to break them down in the end.
Will the last thing that Roy be saying to his team when they come out today, Ollie, is that we've done it here before?
He will, but he's obviously got a different group. But what I can tell you is that with him and Ray, the organisation that they'll have will be hard to break down, no matter how good you are. And City are brilliant, absolutely brilliant, whoever they pick. It's a wonderful watch for us. I'm really excited. But even in Pep's notes, he's put in there that we have to be at our very, very best today. So they won't take these lightly.
Yeah.
And you can always, with the ability that they've got on the bench, if they're in the game late on, just watch out, because that's what they hope that they could get Palace, you know. And having worked there, it's all about we're the underdogs, and we realise that. Do you know what I mean? They will, and that's what makes them really dangerous. They've had a fantastic last few years, stayed in, and I think Roy's done such a wonderful job. The way he gets extra out of people is so. Today's quite exciting for me to watch it personally. I haven't been here for a long time.
Great view, isn't it?
The whole place is quite amazing outside, and I got here about 9:45, so I've been here for ages. Yeah. I've got 15 coffees. I was helping them set up. It's like, what is he doing? I talk about miss this sort of thing, but this is a world-class venue, isn't it? No, absolutely.
Certainly is, and we're glad to have your company. Just before we go, we want to look at our Christmas cracker we're going to do in a sec. Keith, can you stand up with me? We're modelling these jumpers today. I'm going to give you a little twirl. Look at this, it's actually got a scarf on it. That's class. Keith, give us a Keith twirl.
Why eyes closed? That's what I want to know.
Well, maybe we could paint them on. Now, these, at the top of the show, we were talking about the greatest season of all, and how loads of brilliant Christmas merchandise has been put together by Manchester City. And there's a point to it as well, is that for all of the sales of these jumpers, Manchester City will pay £5 to their charitable fund, the city and the community. So if you like them, go and get them. And why wouldn't you want to be eating your turkey in that on Christmas Day?
It works.
I think it works really well. See if I can run away with it afterwards. Now,
are you saying everybody in the world is going to be wearing one of these?
Mine's a bit snug. I think this is a medium, by the way. It's a little bit like, got a bigger size, please.
Did you notice that Curly tied a knot in it?
I said it to him.
I've just been told by the production team, Kit's looking in good nick. Don't you do yourself down. Okay, right, it's time for the Christmas cracker. We've had 10 match days across all of December, and each one we're going to have a different Christmas cracker. And today's is a look back to last week, a brilliant social video of us sending 5 of our Manchester City legends down to Kenilworth Road, 25 years on from when City played Luton in League One. Can you believe it? Here we go.
I'm passing the phone to somebody who ran away for a fight with me at half-time at Main Road.
I'm passing the phone to somebody who's never scored against me ever in a competitive game of football.
I'm passing the phone to someone who I always got man of the match against.
I'm passing the phone to someone who was waiting for me in the tunnel at Main Road.
I'm passing the phone to somebody who broke my kitchen cooker.
I'm passing the phone to someone who had the biggest bonds in our dressing room.
Still has.
I'm passing the phone to someone who's still, 25 years later, laughing at his own jokes.
Feed the goat and he will laugh at his own jokes. It's really good. You can check that out on our social media. Such a great video. The production team put it together brilliantly last week. Now, there's a bit of history here. So, in the season that Manchester City were down in that 3rd tier, Kit, you were playing at the same tier. I think you were with Fulham.
Won the
Fulham,
league. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah,
what are your memories of playing against Manchester City that year?
I remember the first game at Fulham. I should have scored, actually. I think Fulham won 3-0, and I had a great chance to score, but I was sort of quite glad I didn't, to be honest. We won the game anyway, and yeah, it was a really good season. I mean, I came from sort of 2 relegations in 3 years at City, having a really tough time, and then 2 promotions in 3 years at Fulham. So
it wasn't all your fault, is what you're saying?
Not all my fault, no.
A lot of people blame it.
Yeah. And still do, but...
I thought the colour of the kit, but it was you.
Yeah.
Ollie, Bristol Rovers, you finished 13th in the league that season.
Yeah, my wife reminds me all the time, look at what Man City have done and look where Bristol Rovers are. And unfortunately, that's my club in my town. So I am jealous, you know. I am jealous of all you in this area. It took me nearly 3.5 hours to get here. And that, believe me, that's a long way for a lot of wonderful players to drive up and see, isn't it? So I feel for the kids in Bristol. I had to move so many times to try and get things better than they were for me. You know, I was a bit ambitious, whereas my town, my city isn't really. So I'm sick with envy, to be honest.
Well, it's interesting that you've opened yourself up to us for the cameras, Ollie, because this is a little segment where we like to get to know our new guests. So we're going to do that in this one here. Now, I know you began your...
You never told me that, I wouldn't have come. What have you got from him?
Well, we've been hearing how much love you've got for your city of Bristol and Bristol Rovers as well, your team. Playing
I don't love the Wurzels, though. I'm sick and fed up of them.
He was saying that when he goes on a certain radio show, they always play the Wurzels when he comes on, which feels a bit unkind, doesn't it? I've just told the production team, get rid of the Wurzels. We don't want to play the Wurzels.
Combine harvester, I can't wait to see one of them again.
Yeah, so playing with Keith in the early days of your career, not just what was it like playing with Keith, but what was your team spirit coming through at Bristol Rovers?
We grew from boys to men in that time, you know, and our great friend Phil Kite was a goalkeeper. Curle was a winger at the time, and then he left us and went to Bristol City, which I didn't really like to talk about.
Across the divide.
Ooh, but he was made into a wonderful centre half at the time, so it was something that kept me going. My career wasn't going very well, and when Keith came along, I realised that there were other people like me who wanted to do well, who wanted to work hard, who wanted to just be realistic about what they could achieve, and he saved my life, to be honest. He also stopped me catching 2 buses to Bristol Rovers when he passed his test before me, and he had a car, which was brilliant. And my mum just loved him. He's just got everything about him. Do you know what I mean? But I had the 2 best-looking friends in the world, and I used to just sort of babysit their drinks when we ever went out, because they had women all over them, and I was just left by the handbags. Gospel truth. The ugliest mate to ever have in the world. It's true, isn't it? Honestly.
That's why we stuck you on the end of it. He said you're the perfect wingman. Honestly. Stuck you on the end.
I mean, if you haven't seen Phil Kite, he was like 6'4", him like a film star, and there's just muggins on him. Even with hair, I was minging.
Well, you're a beautiful man, Ollie. But you also played together at the Crazy Game, Wimbledon. That must have been a mad time. Some of the stories that came out of there.
We didn't play together there.
Oh, you both spent time there?
Yeah.
My mistake.
Yeah.
No, Keith got in the team, I didn't.
What was the prank that they did to you on your welcome? Can you say it?
Well, no, it was. I had never
clean?
seen anything quite as bad as what they were doing. And, you know, it was cutting the toes off your socks. It might sound weird, but you pull your sock on and it just keeps going. Cut the middle out your pants, right? So you pull your pants up and they just keep going. And then cut your pockets off your jeans. So you go to put your hand in, you got your keys in, and it all just comes out in front. They thought it was funny. And then one day, one of my best mate there, Laurie Sanchez, is walking out and he gets jumped on by Fashion You off the roof. And a fight starts, and believe it or not, he won. Because it was all like weird, you know. And they said I was a weak character. Jesus, on my life, it was unbelievable. But my missus had cancer at the time, and 2 or 3 of them didn't give me any sympathy.
Right.
A lot of them did, 2 or 3 of them didn't. So it wasn't that good an atmosphere for me. And I've had some problems with some of them after. But, you know, at the end of the day, I wasn't ready for that as a person.
I would imagine, though, that you learned key lessons from that time, especially as you didn't particularly enjoy it, for when you moved into management and harnessing your own workplace
absolutely,
culture.
yeah. Harry was brilliant. Dave Bassett.
Harry Bassett.
Yeah, I can't tell you what he called himself really, but he was fantastic because he did question whether I was strong enough mentally. And if you look at making it, you have to be. We ended up getting dropped in the fat, and you either bubble up and come back up to the top, or, you know, we were all bullied, really. I hate to say it, but, you know, luckily now kids get out. But, you know, senior pros made us by bullying us and making us strong enough to come back and do these things. So
does that still happen?
It still happens, but I think a lot of senior pros these days just sit there and let the manager do it. So, you know, things are very different now, and I'm glad they are. But
it was a tough environment there.
Yeah.
And it was a case of sink or swim,
Yeah.
whereby they because Wimbledon was based on that belief and that unity. So they used to challenge players to find out when push comes to shove, are you going to be ready, and are you going to do what needs to be done?
And it worked for Wimbledon, climbing up the leagues as quickly as they did, and all of that.
Mate, I played 14 times and still they got rid of me. So, you know, but those 14 games, we won all 14. And I was in that team that actually went up, but I chose to go to Brentford, 2 divisions down at the time, because my wife had cancer at the time. My girlfriend had cancer at the time. She is my wife, but, you know, luckily she got over that. Life's about learning and realising. That's why when I was young, I had lots of injuries. I was trying to train and run, and he helped me, right? He helped me through it, where some of the other ones didn't. So, you know, that's why we've always been mates. But, you know, life's about dealing with adversity and coming through it.
You were his best man, weren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. My speech was useless.
I bet it wasn't. Keith, can you tell us the clean bits of your speech?
But I know he forgot to pay the vicar.
Yeah. I didn't think he'd earned his money, to be honest. I listened to it and, God, come on, mate. You ain't spoke anything like I was expecting you to. Do you know what I mean? I know the building was nice, but that wasn't good enough, mate. I was trying to look after you.
Right. You've talked about promotions. We talked about Wimbledon getting promoted. You got Blackpool promoted into the Premier League. A fun time for any Blackpool fan, no doubt for yourself as well. What were your sweetest Premier League memories?
I think the first game, we had trouble with our ground, so the first 3 matches were away, so we had Wigan away. We won 4-0. We were top of the league for a half hour until Chelsea played the later match and they won 6-0. But it was me and Steve Thompson, my assistant, were like, "Is this for real?
This is easy."
It wasn't easy because we shouldn't have been 4-0 up. Do you know what I mean? It was like, what is going on? But mate, it was so much fun because we did so well at the start of the season. All the trouble came at the end of the season, you know, and I was just having a breeze. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it.
In my mind, all your games ended 3-2, 4-3 that season. It was crazy, including Manchester City that season. There was a 3-2.
Yeah, and you robbed us. There was 2 goals. No, when you look back, I had a letter at the end. We got relegated by.
Here you go. This looks like a robbery. Yeah, he's robbing you there. He's absolutely robbed you.
Good. No, that was good. You wish the other 2.
That was David Silva's
No,
first
that was
ever City
yeah.
goal.
I've never spoke to him since.
I want to see this again. Look, oh, sit down.
Oh, see ya. Yeah.
Yep.
I obviously coached those lads out.
1v1 defending,
Yeah.
body shape.
No, he did say he was
Don't
going to
sell
shoot me.
yourself.
He wasn't. No, that's David Vaughan. He could tackle his grandmother. He could as well. No, that is genius, isn't it? If you're not showing the other two, are you? Because one was offside, the other one was a foul.
Still,
That
not
was
still
it
bitter then.
Tevez?
That was his
No,
first goal for
Tevez.
Manchester City.
Where's
What a career.
Tevez? Offside.
We're not going to show you those guys.
No, you're not, are you?
We show you the ones that are really
I had a
memorable.
letter from the Referees Association. Sorry, we've cost you 9 points this year. Do you mind if we use the video? I only got relegated by 1 point. People call me lucky. On my life. It was, my team was about attacking, and we defended from our attacking. And we couldn't do anything else. So we had to just go for the net. So we had a whole mantra that we're going to get the next goal. Even if we're 1-0 up, we're going to try and score the next goal. And when I made a defensive substitution away at Everton, we were 3-1 up with 20 minutes to go. I brought off DJ Campbell and put on a defensive double. We lost 5-3. What on earth's going on? I took off a centre forward and we lose 5-3, and DJ was fuming. He didn't want to speak to me. And I said I'd never do it. I did the same thing at Tottenham away, the last but one game of the season. Tottenham away, we're winning 2-1. And I put on a double right back. I had Seamus Coleman, I put on Neil Eardley, bring off a forward, and we let a goal in. Jermaine Defoe, that's the one that got us relegated, to be honest. Jermaine Defoe, in the 86th minute. But what we did was entertain everybody. And
Certainly
I
did.
believe we
And
stopped
and you
people-
are right now.
We stopped people parking the bus. Because for me, you shouldn't go somewhere and just hang on and cling on it. You have to talk about what you're going to do to this opposition. And we tried it, and we had a right go, to be honest.
Yeah, I loved watching your team that season. It was great. Now, we were speaking before about 3 years you've been out of the dugout. Grimsby was your last job. And I said, what have you been up to in the 3 years? And you said you've been doing a bit of doodling. More than just a bit of doodling. Have a look at this. Phil Mitchell is looking good.
Phil Mitchell's got a hell of a tan there.
How good is that, Keith? Pep Guardiola, for anyone who's home going, I don't know who that is.
if you... No.
No, Ollie's always been artistic. He's always been slightly different to a lot of people that I know.
But Ollie, you told us a great story.
There is a compliment there.
Yeah, was there? I'm waiting for that. Where's that one?
Ollie, you told us a great story before. That was actually the second version of a Pep Guardiola painting. What happened to the first?
I punched a hole through it because it went wrong halfway through. I got no patience, I have to say that, you know, and if I don't get what I want, I'm not very nice. Because that's how you have to become in the end. And I've got this sort of anger problem that the anger management I went on, I got angry with him and threw him out. So I am who I am, I'm afraid.
Does that help painting? Must help calm you?
No.
Not really?
Clearly not. He put his fist through one.
No. If it's going all right,
brilliant.
if it's going all right, I'm fine. And then you always look for the fault in it. Do you know what I mean? I don't look at, I like that. It's what's wrong with it, and I can't help changing me. I wish I talked to myself like I talk to my teams, because they could never do anything wrong as long as they tried hard. Yeah. You know, and I had 2 or 3 players want to come and play for me because of that, and they were pretty big players at the time. Barry Ferguson asked to come and play for me. I think it was somewhere because he wanted to go back to Scotland as well. And the other one was Kevin Phillips, because Stephen Craney played a pass that got intercepted, and I went, don't worry about it. We got to learn from that, right? And what we talked about after, I still encouraged him. Do you know what I mean? So that for me, life was about encouragement. And I went back to school where I didn't do very well. And the 2 subjects I did do well in, both those teachers had love for their subject, and they had empathy for the person that they were trying to teach.
Build you up rather than knock you down.
This is my whole point. One was art, and the other was PE. The rest of it, I don't want to. I don't really want to see. My maths teacher used to twirl your hair. That's why I got none. And then he'd throw the rubber at you, the chalk rubber, which was made of wood. Honestly, it was horrendous. And what I've tried to do is encourage people to believe in themselves. I believe we can all shine at something. Not everything, but at something, and
Well,
that's where it
you've
comes.
shone in football, Ollie, and you've shone in this studio, and your artwork is absolutely terrific. Are you selling those?
I might give you that one, right? And I might give you that so you can sell it for charity, right? For the hospice that you're doing, and I'll do that, and then hopefully, but that's a one-off. I don't print them, I just do it. It's a one-off, unique thing that I do. And I think it looks a bit like Pep, if you don't.
I think it would. I think maybe we should try and show it to Pep Guardiola. City in the Community is the Manchester City charity.
I'm going to give you that, and I'm going to let...
Genuinely?
For an auction. I want to auction it and then give the money to your charity.
What a guy. Hang on. Come on.
Thank you very much.
Ollie, that's absolutely
Only
brilliant.
to get me some more orders.
We'll drum up a bit of business for you. Okay, right.
I've got to find a way to earn a living, am I?
Brilliant. Okay, so now we get to know Mr. Holloway. Thank you for that. Now we're going to move on to the two managers who are in the dugout today. Pep Guardiola, who you've done a brilliant likeness of there, and Roy Hodgson. What is it, over 700 games between the two of them? And Roy's been doing it for 47 years. Pep Guardiola for slightly less long. I think Roy was a manager when Pep was 5 years old. It's incredible. Let's start with Roy Hodgson, though, Keith, because to have the longevity to get jobs, leave jobs, lose jobs, and keep coming back to the crease, keep coming back as hungry as ever. How does someone do that?
I think it's a passion that you have for the sport, and like Ollie just touched on it there about improving and developing not only players but football clubs as well. And again, I think everybody will say that the Palace in the last couple of years are punching above their weight. They are a very good mid-table team, and again, I think Roy touched on it a couple of weeks ago, didn't he? When he said, I think some of these Palace fans have been spoiled because we lost. They weren't having a good run. They lost a couple of games, and it's like Roy's reminding them, we're not here. We've got to be here on merit, and we've got to earn it. We've got to maintain that hunger. Don't start moaning and start booing when we lose 2 or 3 games. Remember who we are, and I think that's what Roy's very good at with his a very grounded individual. You can tell, but he's got an honesty about him as well that he wants players to do well.
Yeah, 700 Premier League games between him. Roy's done many, many more in other divisions around the world, and obviously with England as well. What impresses you the most about Pep Guardiola, Kit?
I think it's his passion and his drive. He's so sort of focused and intense, but he's got that genuine passion, and also what Ollie was talking about earlier, that empathy for his players as well. Though he's real, like I say, it's a real drive and a determination to win. But you can see he has got that empathy with the players, which means an awful lot.
Yeah, and they're obviously, as Keith alluded to, Ollie, they're clubs swimming in different ponds almost. Palace, good season for them would be safely stay up, good few points above it. For Manchester City, it's win as many trophies as you can. You've pushed for trophies and you've fought relegation. What's the difference between the two?
Well, I took them up, and I only lasted 8 games. I wish I hadn't had a fallout with the chairman, but we're fine now. But life. Where Palace were at the time, they were talking about moving the training ground closer to Brighton. And I said to Steve Parrott, you can't do that. Whatever you do, get a different training ground and make the lads, the young ones, work to get to the main one. Do you know what I mean? A bit like you're doing here. It's incredible. I've been here since about 9:45 this morning. Unbelievable, the progress. But life's about having a vision of what you do, and Steve Parish has done a fantastic job to stay where they are, to keep building. He spent a fortune on buying the bank place over the road. He's built that, and he asked me up to come and have a look at it when he opened it. It was fantastic. So he's got a vision, right? Man City's vision aren't just that. They want to be the best team in the world, whereas Palace care about their community. They have a player base that represents the people in their areas, the ethnic power that they have in and around that area. They care about them, and when you see their squad, it is carried through into
a lot of local
you are
lads.
part
City
of
have the same.
You are part of this, and without that, right, Palace would not survive. And the great thing is the relationship that Dougie Freedman has got with Steve Parish behind the scenes. Dougie,
director of football, Dougie.
He's a director of football, right? But he has a huge say in everything that they're doing. But they had to bring Roy back. Patrick Vieira, who I think is magnificent and will be a great manager. Hopefully he'll get another job. But he was what the fans wanted. But Roy had to come in and settle things down, you know. And I'm going to use one player, Izzy Abire, who's an unbelievable talent. Very, very different. He floats, he drifts with it. He don't always press like he should do. But Roy has got some things out of him that I can't believe, you know, whereas Patrick couldn't do that. So let's give Roy all of that credit. Let's see where Palace are. Palace are a wonderful, wonderful club for the people of that area. They deserve it, you know. Half of them pay to watch and don't watch. They stand the other way, jumping up and down. They don't even watch the game. They got an ego that they bring out. It's just incredible. I didn't realise how wonderful a club it was until I worked there. Do you know what I mean? I made a terrible mistake by saying, I don't get this rivalry between Brighton, and I wish I'd never said it. You know, that is a true rivalry. I didn't get it. It's 13 miles away. Do you know what I mean? And I wish I'd just shut up. Sometimes I do talk too much. But
Never.
What a wonderful football club. And hopefully they'll have some sort of foot in this game. If they can get something out of it, a draw for them would be, I'm sure Roy would take that now, because your team is that good. But, you know, I'm looking forward to the challenge and see how they take it on.
Yeah, we've been spoiled watching Pep Guardiola teams for the last, 15 or more years at Barcelona, and then to Bayern, and now here at Manchester City. Will we get the same longevity out of Pep as we've seen from Roy Hodgson?
I'd like to think so, as long as we keep on successful and we keep on progressing and growing. He's got, I think probably a lot of ex-players will look back and they look at Pep and they look at Pep's teams and they think, like, I wish I'd played for him. He's got that air of confidence about him that spreads to his players, to his teams, and how they play the game. They're able to express themselves from a format that he sets, but then the rotation and the movement and the understanding of what your next pass is going to be and why and how you progress up the pitch is one of those. I think every, not only ex-player, but I think a lot of coaches nowadays. I think I go and watch a lot of football now, and you see teams and you think, like, you can see what they're trying to do, but not with the same class of players.
No, it's true. And the one thing about Pep Guardiola teams, as we've seen here, Kit, is that there always seems to be an evolution with the way that he wants to play the football. All the clubs across the league are now experimenting with the inverted fullback who adds into the midfield. That's a Pep innovation.
Well, it is, and he keeps looking to find different ways. I mean, the signing of Haaland gave the team a different dimension, a different way of playing. The signings in the summer, Doku, very different to Jack, we've already spoke about, but both fantastic players. But if one's on the bench, you know, you can bring him on to change it up completely. Nunes signing, runs with the ball, breaks forward, runs past people with the ball, driving, runs forward. It's a bit different to what we already had. So he keeps looking to change it up, to mix up, to give different ways of playing. Because teams, eventually, if you keep playing the same way, as good as you are, teams will find a way. The top teams will find a way to nullify and stop it. But like I say, he just keeps evolving, keeps changing, keeps tweaking it. It's still a fantastic style of play. The principles are always going to remain, but little tweaks here and there, and just innovations and different ways of doing it. And he keeps looking to change that all the time and always freshen things up, which is brilliant.
Yeah, you can't always go through the press. You can't. So he's got a goalie straight away who can kick it an absolute country mile. But what he's had to do is, the intelligence of him, he's always ahead of the game. He can see what someone's going to do. And then the longer he's here, the better you're going to be. It's simple as that. And I fear for the rest of the world. Because if he stays as long as he could do, those records that everybody else has got, you're going to smash.
And long may it continue, Ellie. Long may it continue. Now, I called you the three wise men earlier. I have three kings in the studio. I'm going to give you a little breather, have a glass of water. We're going to go down to pitch side for some sporting royalty. The Mobot's in town. Sir Mo Farah, four-time Olympic champion, is pitch side with Ali.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. We are joined by genuine sporting legendary. I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to say Sir Mo Farah is with us. Sir Mo, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a big lover of football. What brings you to the Etihad today?
Honestly, it's my first time at Etihad Stadium, and it is an amazing stadium. I love football, but also I'm a big sports fan, wherever.
Right, and I noticed your son's got a City scarf on, but he's not a City fan either.
He's not, but again, he's playing it tomorrow against City Under-8 Academy.
Oh, okay.
And that's the whole reason we came up. But as he said, he came in seeing here. He just says, you know what, Dad, I do like City, so he might be a changed man, but as a family in my household, we are Arsenal. But again, you can't take anything away from this beautiful stadium. and the team itself. Some exciting players.
Are you an admirer of what Manchester City are doing?
Yeah, honestly, as I said, Man City is a great team to do the triple and to go on for many years. Guardiola is a great manager, and what he's doing with the club, it's incredible. And as I said, listen, I'm a football fan. On top of that, I'm a big fan of the players here, Haaland, everyone, and that's what sports is about. And honestly, as I said, even though I'm an Arsenal fan, true heart, I think City, you can't take anything away from City. You've got a great team, you've got a great bond. As I said,
were you a little bit heartbroken about the events of last season then?
Honestly, as I said, listen, we came so close. But obviously, better team won on that, as you know, City. But we came so close to winning the league. And again, it's been able to understand the players. Mikel Arteta is a great manager. He was at City here, learned a lot from the great manager here, taking it to the Arsenal. And again, that atmosphere we have at the Emirates and the players at Arsenal, that's what the sports is about. And again, it's experience. Even myself, I've won many races, but comes with experience and confidence.
Yeah.
And that's what the players, it came towards the last year, end of the season, where we just needed that little bit more, and City were just a slightly better team and come away with a title.
Well, it's interesting to hear you mention running. I mean, your last run, the Great North Run, a few months ago, what emotions were you going through that day? What's it like to now be an ex-athlete?
It's nice to be finally retired, eat what I want, sticky toffee pudding, and watch TV and watch football. And honestly, as I said, I've had a long career, and in my career, always what you put in is what you get out of. And I was in that tunnel vision where all you do, eat, sleep, train, and you weren't allowed to do other things outside there, or go out and go and watch football teams and stuff like that. And finally, I'm doing that with my family, which is a nice thing. And even as I said, listen, let's go out for the weekend. Let's go and watch City play, and then watch him to play. It's just nice to be able to spend more time with my kids and my family. But I had an amazing career. I've had amazing support from this city, Manchester here, doing a great Manchester run in the streets of Manchester. Started off, I think, 2006. And throughout my career, and again, if it wasn't for the support of the people who supported me throughout my career, I've never got to that position. I have, and again, I've had that amazing career. Just loved every minute of it.
Well, listen, I'm honoured to be able to speak to you. On behalf of everyone who you've given enormous pleasure to, let me tell you, thank you for a wonderful career, for making us be happy and proud to say we've got you as an athlete representing us.
Nah, it's been an amazing career, and honestly, I just want to say thank you to everyone who supported me. And in life, give it all you can, and that's what it takes.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for talking to us. Mo Farah, unbelievable. Back to you.
Great stuff, Ali. And Mo Farah, I can see him down there just posing for photos with everybody as soon as he came off the back of that interview. Guys, we need to talk about the academy and how incredibly this club is doing at bringing players through to the first team. Now, already qualified in the Champions League in midweek. There were 7 in the squad, 3 in the starting lineup against Red Star, and 2 of them made an exceptional show of themselves. Micah Hamilton, firstly, Keith. He's been here since 8 years old, and he was absolutely incredible in his first Champions League game. Those pictures of him as a ball boy, look at that. That was from this game in 2017 against Crystal Palace, and that emerged after the game because he went from ball boy to first teamer to goal scorer to assister. Not bad.
It's a great story, isn't it? And again, I think it's excellent. The young academy players, they get the taste of the environment here by being ball boys as well. And again, it's a journey that a lot of youngsters have that dream and that ambition to become a professional footballer, and the journey that you need to go on. There's a lot of things that you need to do. There's a lot of sacrifices that you need to make as a young lad, because all his mates and everything that would be growing up, going out, socialising, and as long as you have to sacrifice those things and have that vision of what you want to achieve in life. And again, the football club that he's at now they've got history of producing not only good footballers but good people and good human beings.
Yeah, and 2 of them in the starting lineup as well with Phil Foden and Rico Lewis. Ollie, you made the point earlier about the journey that Keith's talking about and the pathway from academy all the way through to the first team, and about how the stadium's over there, it's joined by a bridge, and you can say to these young players, go and cross the bridge and one day make it to the big stadium.
It's exactly what it's all about, and for Pep to trust these boys to do it already is quite unbelievable, absolutely amazing. But I would give my life to have played for him. To just have I'd love to go to one training session just to be a fly on the wall. So these lads have to realise how lucky they are. I don't know if anybody's watched one of the Enemy, who's done a brilliant documentary series, and Sir Alex Ferguson supported David Beckham through since he was sort of 15. Well, you've got Phil Foden, probably he's won everything already, hasn't he? You know, and Pep managed him through that. Everybody was saying, the media was saying he's got to play, he's got to do this. He went, no, he's going to play when I tell him. And that's what you have. You have a manager, you have a boss, you have a leader who's never undermined by anyone. Halfway through last season, I think he got rid of one of his most talented players, Mr. Cancelo. Got rid of him. You didn't miss him. I wonder why, because he wasn't towing the line. This is what this man does. So these lads are really lucky, and if they listen and they work hard, I'm sure they'll have a fantastic career.
Well, the other thing that you get if you bring players through from an academy kit is you get buy-in, don't you? There's, right, well, I was schooled here and now I'm representing.
Well, massively, and also, as Ollie's just touched on, it's that trust aspect. You know, everyone's talking about Foden, he needs to go and play. And Pep was like, no, he needs to stay here and develop, and we'll look after him and we will develop him. And, you know, he's proved that's the case. So I think there's a huge trust element as well now within the whole club, that the academy players, if they're good enough, they'll get opportunities. Showed midweek. I mean, it's fantastic. You know, Oscar Bob as well. Every time he comes on here, there's a real buzz with the crowd. And Rico Lewis, you know, young player. I mean, absolutely fantastic. I mean, this was a brilliant goal.
Yeah,
great feat. The way he takes that. But he's had cameo appearances throughout the season to build up to sort of this level now. And it's brilliant to see, and great the way they do it.
Performances like midweek, how far will they go to not convincing Pep, but just making Pep realise, OK, these guys are ready to go?
Yeah, well, I think it just gives more options. You know, City have got a fantastic squad, but suddenly a few injuries, then the young boys are getting involved, and they've had a bit of game time already, like I say, to give them that bit of confidence. Suddenly they're starting games now, and they're not looking out of place at all. And so it's just brilliant for the football club long term. More options going forward, brilliant.
So Oscar is among the substitutes today. Ortega, Phillips, Stones, Kovacic, Gomez, Akanji, Nunes, Bob and Sissoko on the bench. No Micah Hamilton in the squad today, but that's okay, because Pep knows exactly what he's doing, and they look like City. They found another one.
Yeah, and again, I think one of the biggest things that you want when you're at a football club, you want a hunger in the next generation coming through, and maintaining that hunger to be able to strive and achieve and get that pathway into the first team. And again, there's a saying in football that, you know, there's no hunger in paradise. Sometimes young players can be given too much too soon, and I think getting that balance right of saying, look, this is what you need to do and this is where you're going to get to. So for any young player at City who's going to strive to become in this first team, you've got to follow high standards.
Yeah, and it'll ground Micah Hamilton, probably be involved for the EDS squad against Norwich tomorrow. I can see that the Manchester City banner has been spread out on the halfway line. The players are about to come out. Looking ahead to this one, Manchester City against Crystal Palace. Ollie, I'll start with you. How do you see this one going, mate?
I'm not sure too many Palace fans will be watching your TV, so I can comfortably say that it's probably going to be 3-0, maybe 3-1. Palace might do something like they normally do, but I can only see a Man City win.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, can't see beyond the City win at all.
Any score prediction, or you just lean in the blue?
Again, you normally go 3 goals for City at home, around about that. Yeah, so I'd expect them to score 3 goals.
Keith, straight flush?
I think if City score in the first 15 minutes, it'd be 4+.
Yeah. There's a really interesting stat that Crystal Palace just don't score goals in the first half. They start really slowly, and against a team like Manchester City who can punish you really quickly, that's not a great combination, is it?
No. It's a difficult task. If you're a manager and a coach and you come in here, do we go toe to toe with City? Can't do it. So then we have to say, right, well, what is our plan B? And then it's out of possession, we've got to get back behind the ball. Then we've got to hunt the ball down, make the pitch as small as we can do. We've got to be aggressive in our defending, but also then we've got to be aggressive in our attacking. When we do get the opportunity to counter attack, we've got to take those chances.
Yep. Final thought. Any positives for Palace fans going into the game?
Yeah, absolutely. If I was you, I'd be really pleased with where our club is and what we're doing. And unfortunately, I come from Bristol, and I'm not very pleased about where we are. So you are lucky. You're spoiled.
We certainly are. Well, Ian, Kit, Keith will be with us at half-time as well. We're going to have a recap and a reminder that Ollie has done a brilliant piece of artwork of Pep Guardiola that he today has told us he will donate to City and the community to auction off for charity, which is incredibly generous of you. Ollie, thank you for now. Gents, we'll be back with you at half-time. Don't forget, on the Manchester City app right now, you can join Ali Mann and Andy Morrison for full commentary, and we'll see you in 45 minutes.
Well, thank you, Chris. City play their last Premier League game for 11 days in the knowledge that a victory would take them up to second in the table, just a point behind the early pace setters Liverpool. They